Thank you, ma. Pastor Nathaniel.
I would say as a very young lad, I developed an uncommon penchant or passion for improvisational music, jazz music. So, uncommon. I mean, I didn't watch cartoons, those things children watch. I mean, I didn't grow up liking them. Strangely, I would be drawn to bebop, Miles Davis, Duke Ellington, Dizzy Gillespie, all these guys, and I would just listen to, Black American jazz music, and then also listen with my dad to high life music. I come from a family of music lovers. Though they were not professionals, they would serve in church, play in church. So my dad and I would sit down morning till night, apart from playing soccer and maybe some other thing. I'll sit with my dad listening to Jim Rex Lawson, Ian Henshaw from morning till night, just listening to music. Then I started, with the drums, drummer boy, very young boy. And then we got the trumpet for the church. And from the first day, I was blowing it. But before then, there was a man who was very close to our family, a police sergeant, didn't go to school but could read the Bible. Interestingly, he couldn't read any other thing but could read the Bible. Oh. Supernatural. The first man I saw raise the dead in front of me. He would limp. I mean, my cousin she was living with a family friend. They hit her and she just collapsed and passed out. They rushed her to the house. She was gone. And we were crying. My dad was crying. He was an elder in the Apostolic Church. And then she was cold. And then here comes Elder Ihedioha, just limping, singing, I know his name is wonderful. From home, I know his name. Limping, came home and, what in be her name? We said, Eno. Eno, stand up. Eno, stand up. She sneezed back to life. She came back. So that was the man who, when he comes to pray at home, he'll call my father, E.J. Bassey, you see this small boy? I see him like a prophetic dream. I see him for highway. Big boss. They overtake everybody. Watch him. And as a small boy, no encounter with God, I knew there was something special about Elder Ihedioha. So when he's speaking, I'll go stay very close to him so that his saliva will touch me. Yes. So he gave those prophetic words, and I began to play the trumpet. Then I joined the Redeemed Evangelical Mission Trem. Incidentally, today is Bishop's 75th birthday. So I grew up from the Apostolic Church, then moved to Trem. Then I was, ordained in 1998 as a minister. Then I was led to go to the Redeemed Christian Church of God, City of David. Now, while all of this was going on, I began to be involved in mainstream music. Mainstream is I'm doing gigs with the guys. I'm in secular bands. So I worked with Ayo Bankole, T-Mac, Jive Band, Steve Rhodes, as Steve Rhodes Orchestra. Wow. We did sessions. So I was doing pretty much a lot of things. Worked with, played. I was supposed to travel to France with Asha. You know Asha?
Wow.
Yeah, so I gave her a few trumpet lessons and all of that stuff. Was pretty much doing that and doing church. So I was at the City of David, and all of these things I'm saying have connection. So I was doing mainstream because I had the, desire to be, I just wanted to be a touring, very good musician. And do you understand this? You just want to be like at the, peak of your, so you practice for hours. So I just wanted to be a good musician, traveling the world with bands, go to Berkeley School. I applied for Berkeley College scholarship. We won. I was ready to go to America. And then my pastor, Pastor Esco, would call me to his office. all of this time, I never really had an encounter with God. He said, Nathaniel, do you know that when you play the trumpet, I cry? Do you know that you are carrying something? Then I had a typical musician mentality, gigging, traveling, just playing for the money. Then I'll go to the music room. I'll tell my guys. I say, imagine this pastor. Pastor say there's something about me so that I will die in this church. Yes. And then your children in America, you say, I'll just make fun of it. Yeah, and he kept saying that. He said, I don't know what is it about this trumpet you are playing, and I'm crying. I'll just think he's trying to, I say, Pastor, they whine me. So then one day, a lot of things had passed. The late Stella Obasanjo was going to come to church. And Pastor has said to me, go prepare this song. Of course, we had a pastor who, maybe I'll go to that later, who would come for our choir practice and listen and say, you know what, you need to take us to where we want to go tomorrow. If I don't sense the presence, we're not going home. Anyway, so we did the song, and while I was ministering on stage, I knew that this was what I was meant to do. That wasn't jazz. I knew by the Spirit. And then that sent me into a journey season. So I went back, told my pastor, and then I cut away from every group. I gave up the Berkeley scholarship. It was so radical. My elder sister, who led us to Christ, my younger sister called her in Dubai. My sister was the head of the fellowship. She would go to called boys. Thus saith the Lord, in 7 days, if you don't leave, you will die. She was that fiery. But I took a radical decision. She heard, my sister would say, he's giving out his money, he's doing this. My sister called me and said, Nat, I've been there before. That thing is not that serious. Calm down. Calm down. So I shut down everything, gave myself to praying, and I would just be weeping. I'll drive to empty places, Terry McCalmore ministering. I will just weep. I'll have encounters. And I'm going to round off soon. And then one day, 12 will be on Mill Street. I was just ministering unto the Lord. And then my pastor said to me, Nathaniel, by this time I was so close to him, we're relating on spiritual things. He said, go find out what the trump of God is. 2 Corinthians 15. So I just stood up all through the night. I had a vision, ministering, and as I ministered, there was fires everywhere. So I just began to weep all through the night. And my father came. When my father came, why are you weeping? When he touched me, he started crying. And then I didn't know why I was crying. And then I'll take my phone, I'll call people, and they'll hear me crying, they'll start crying. Yeah. And then it continued till the next day. Then I was worshiping. It felt like a blanket rested on my head. I took my hands off the keyboard, ran outside. I knew it was a holy feeling. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was a holy feeling. Then I was going to church, Bonnie Camp, after CMS. A man who had never called me, I was driving my Kia car, wearing a white shirt. A relative who, I don't know how he got my number. As I picked up the phone, this experience happened some hours before. I was alone in the room. He said, thus saith the Lord, the hand of God is upon you from today. Conduct yourself accordingly. Goodbye. Drop the call. So from then on, I knew that God's hands were upon me, and I had to set myself to seeking him. And the rest, they say, is history.
Wow. Wonderful. So you once played for T-Mac?
Oh yes, I was with T-Mac, Uncle T we traveled. Uncle T-Mac would play Fly Robin Fly, Ayo Bankole, Uncle Steve Rhodes Orchestra was his band leader, where we just did jazz ensembles. And then the French Cultural Center was about to send myself and Asha on a tour to France. And that was when encounter. Wow. So when I had that encounter and I pulled out, the director of French Cultural Center declared me a non-personal, grata, and said I shouldn't come near French. So, wow. And my friends, I was a member of a group, Spectrum 4, Wale Oni, Ayo Shulanka in the US. We had won a Berkeley scholarship. We were about to leave. Our Black American manager, a believer. So I said to them I couldn't come. Wale and the rest of them said, guy, we are all believers. So don't tell me God said. He said, so where are we working for Satan? So, but, I left, but it was tough. And there was a time where a journalist, Benson Idonije, wrote an article. He said, a gift like this is wasting away in a local church and doesn't want to inspire his generation. And of course, met him years later and story changed. So God was faithful to make me go through those experiences.
Wow.
Yes.